When a former Disney star grows up, finds real love, and brings together half of Hollywood to celebrate, you know it's going to be unforgettable. On September 27th, Selena Gomez married Blanco in California, and the day looked like something straight out of a dream. It wasn't your typical celebrity wedding. It felt like a mix of a fairy tale and a star-studded awards night, with guests like Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, SCA, Camila Cabello, Zoe Saldana, and Paris Hilton, all there to celebrate. As photos and clips spread across Instagram and news outlets, it quickly became clear that this was more than just a wedding. It was an event people would remember for years. Selena, who's been in the spotlight for nearly 2 decades, managed to make the day feel both personal and grand. When she and Benny said their vows, they were surrounded by the people who mattered most. Family, close friends, and some of the biggest names in music and film who cheered for them as if they were their own. Selena looked breathtaking in a custom-made Ralph Lauren dress, classic, elegant, and simple all at once. Her long veil floated behind her beautifully, and it didn't take long for that detail to become one of the most talked about parts of the wedding online. Benny, dressed in a sleek Ralph Lauren suit, couldn't stop smiling, clearly overjoyed to be marrying the woman he'd always cherished. Later that day, Selena quietly shared a few photos from the wedding on Instagram. Her caption was short and sweet, white art. September 27th, 25. No long note or dramatic announcement, just a few words and images that said it all. Within minutes, her post exploded across the internet. Fans and fellow celebrities flooded the comments, calling it one of the most beautiful and genuine reveals of the year. Benny posted next, writing, "I married a real-life Disney princess." That one line was enough to melt hearts everywhere, especially since it nodded to Selena's early Disney Channel days on Wizards of Waverly Place. It turned their wedding from a personal moment into something everyone online was talking about, a true pop culture moment. But what really caught everyone's attention was the guest list. If weddings are judged by who shows up, then this one made history. Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, Phineas, SCA, and Camila Cabello were all there, showing just how loved Selena is in the music world. The legendary Mark Ronson was the DJ for the night, keeping everyone, even the most reserved stars, on the dance floor. From the acting world, it was almost like a Hollywood reunion. Selena's only Murders in the Building co-stars, Steve Martin and Martin Short, were there to celebrate too. At the rehearsal dinner, they each took the mic, delivering speeches that were both heartfelt and hilarious, the kind that made everyone laugh and cry at once. Other familiar faces like Zoe Saldana, Edgar Ramirez, Paul Rudd, Paris Hilton, and Eric Andre were spotted chatting and dancing, making the reception feel more like an after-party for an awards show. For fans, the most emotional moment came when Selena's Wizards of Waverly Place castmates showed up, including David Henry. Seeing them all together again was nostalgic, a reminder of how far Selena has come since her Disney days. The whole event felt like the perfect reflection of her journey. I went from a young teen star to one of the most admired artists and entrepreneurs in the world. It wasn't just a wedding, it was the story of her growth, her strength, and her happiness coming full circle. With so many singers in attendance, it was only natural that the reception turned into a mini concert. Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran didn't just toast. They each gave heartfelt speeches that had the entire room hanging on every word. Guests said Taylor's speech was warm, funny, and full of personal memories that showed how deep their friendship truly is. Ed followed with words that were just as emotional. The end, everyone stood up to clap for them. Once the speeches were done, Mark Ronson raised the energy with a playlist designed just for Selena and Benny. Each song had a story behind it. Some were their shared favorites, others had personal meaning. The vibe turned electric, like a private music festival filled with stars who were all there just to celebrate love. Imagine Paris Hilton, SZA and Zoe Saldana dancing side by side, while Taylor Swift and Camila Cabello laughed near the stage, and Ed Sheeran played along with the rhythm. That's exactly what it looked like. Laughter, music, and genuine joy filled the air, creating an atmosphere no one wanted to leave. What made the night even more special was how real it felt. Even though the room was full of celebrities, the focus wasn't on fame or designer outfits. It was about 2 people who had found something true in a world where that's often rare. Everyone there seemed to know they were part of a once-in-a-lifetime moment, not just because of the glamour, but because of the love that filled the room. By the end of the night, guests weren't just calling it a wedding. They were calling it a piece of modern Hollywood history. It reminded everyone that no matter how famous someone is, the feeling of finding your person is universal. For Selena, this was more than just another milestone. It was a powerful, full-circle moment. Proof that the girl who once sang about heartbreak had finally found peace and real love. Benny, who had stood by her quietly for years, looked like the happiest man alive, as if he knew he'd just won something priceless, even with so many high-profile guests. Nothing about the night felt stiff or staged. Once the formalities were over, the celebration turned into pure joy. One guest described it perfectly. Everyone just let go. No cameras, no egos, just fun. The dance floor stayed packed all night. Laughter echoed everywhere. And every photo captured real smiles instead of posed ones. Selena and Benny couldn't stop beaming, sneaking kisses between songs, completely lost in their own happiness. For a wedding that could have easily turned into a media circus, it stood out for being heartfelt, joyful, and deeply human as a night where love, not fame, took center stage. This fairy tale moment didn't just appear out of nowhere. The road to Selena and Benny's wedding had been building for months, full of clues, jokes, and little slip-ups that kept fans guessing and talking online. It all began in December 2024 when Selena announced her engagement on Instagram. The post alone made headlines, but what really set the internet on fire was Taylor Swift's playful comment, "Yes, I will be the flower girl." Within minutes, fans were debating whether she was joking or actually going to take part in the ceremony. A few weeks later, Ed Sheeran accidentally dropped a hint during Vanity Fair's lie detector interview. When asked if he'd received an invite to the wedding, he smiled and admitted he had, sending fans into another round of excitement. Around the same time, Martin Short, Selena's Only Murders in the Building co-star, cracked a joke on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon about being the ring bearer. Nobody knew if he was serious or just teasing, but it added to the buzz. Even Paris Hilton's attendance got leaked early when her sister Nikki casually mentioned it during a red carpet interview. Each small detail built up the anticipation. Fans became detectives, piecing together clues from interviews, Instagram posts, and insider reports. By the time September rolled around, people were convinced this wasn't going to be an ordinary wedding. It was going to be the event of the decade, and when the big day finally came, it didn't disappoint. Every detail, every moment felt carefully thought out, full of surprises that made the night unforgettable. When Benny posted a few wedding photos, fans noticed something special about Selena's veil. It wasn't just gorgeous. It appeared to have tiny embroidered designs that looked like references to lyrics from her older songs. It was subtle, but fans immediately connected the dots. Even the dinner menu had a personal touch, featuring dishes inspired by songs Benny had produced throughout his career. It was romantic, creative, and full of meaning, the kind of detail that showed how much thought went into making the night truly theirs. Then there was the mystery that still has everyone talking: Steve Martin and Martin Short's wedding gift. Before the ceremony, they joked that they had the perfect present for Selena, but no one has revealed what it was. Guests said it was something funny yet deeply personal, a mix of humor and sentiment that only two of her closest friends could come up with. The decorations also had hidden meaning. The theme was a mix of modern luxury and soft, nostalgic touches that subtly nodded to Selena's Disney roots. It wasn't overdone or flashy, just enough for those who knew her story to catch the little references. From the flower arrangements to the table settings, every detail had a story behind it. The photos shared with the public looked polished and picture-perfect, but insiders said what made the wedding truly magical were those small, thoughtful elements that reflected who Selena and Benny really are. For Selena, this day wasn't about making headlines or outshining anyone. It was about being surrounded by the people who had walked through life with her, the ones who had supported her from childhood to adulthood. Friends, family, co-stars, and collaborators all came together to celebrate not just her marriage, but her journey. Saying yes to Benny wasn't just about love. It was about gratitude, healing, and choosing someone who made her feel seen, supported, and completely herself. For Benny, the night was equally meaningful. He's known for producing chart-topping songs for some of the biggest names in music. But this time, he was the one in the spotlight. Not for his career, but for love. People who had always seen him as the creative genius behind the scenes now saw him as the man who had captured Selena Gomez's heart. His happiness was written all over his face, and it was clear he wasn't just celebrating a wedding. He was celebrating finding his person. Selena's story has always been one of resilience. From her teenage years on Disney Channel to her rise as an award-winning artist, she's faced heartbreak, scrutiny, and pressure that few could imagine. But this wedding marked something different, the end of one chapter and the start of another. It wasn't about fame, success, or followers. It was about love that felt genuine, earned, and steady, the kind that comes after years of growth and self-discovery. And the guest list told that story better than anything. Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran made toasts that brought the room to tears. Steve Martin and Martin Short had everyone laughing, and Paris Hilton and Paul Rudd were spotted dancing like old friends. Her Wizards of Waverly Place cast cheered from their table, proud to see how far their former co-star had come. It felt like watching a movie ending, every familiar face from her past appearing for one joyful final scene. But for Selena, this isn't the end. It's just the start of a new chapter, one filled with peace, stability, and the kind of happiness that comes when everything finally falls into place. She's stepping forward not just as a global superstar, but as a woman who's found balance and love after years of ups and downs. This wedding wasn't about glitz or attention. It was about creating a moment that would live forever. A celebration of real love in a world that often feels artificial. It was a night that reminded everyone watching that even in Hollywood, fairy tales can come true. Not because of the fame or the spotlight, but because of the people who choose each other and mean it. So what do you think? Was this the most iconic celebrity wedding of the decade? or just the beginning of Selena and Benny's modern Hollywood love story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because if this celebration proved anything, it's that in Hollywood, every happily ever after is really just the start of the next great story.